Hello students and welcome to one more session in our series that is tourism finance. So today we will be discussing about receivables management. So receivables are nothing but those trade debtors or the people who may be businesses or the end customers who have bought on credit. That means the delivery of goods is taken and the cash has not been given and there is some date extended for the payment of cash. So this, if any customer or business supplier or a business person is taking goods and giving payment delayed, we call them as trade credit. So when these are in pending, we also call them as trade debtors or accounts receivable. Okay, so as I told you, these are all those businesses to whom credit is issued, or the end customers whom the credit is issued. So whenever credit is given to the customer or the business, or it may be the end customer or a business customer, then there are some cost incurred on it, because when you are maintaining account of a person who has not given the payment, there are certain costs which we can bifurcate into carrying cost and default cost. Carrying costs are the cost of interest. Say for example, when you are making products or services and selling them, when the payment of cash is not received after sales, there is some amount of, say, investment blocked up in that receivables. So so there is an interest on that capital blocked, or the administration cost involved in recording the details of the accounts, maintaining books, then continuous calling them for reminder for payments, then the cost involved in searching for referrals and trade credit ratings, cost of collection, and so on. So all these costs involved are called as carrying cost. Then we also have defaulting costs. Say sometimes what happen is, a percentage of debtors do not pay, maybe due to, say, some problem in them, maybe they are not able to do the business properly. So such payments which are not received or which will never be received, we term them as bad debts. So this is a cost of defaulting, means there is a chance that a percentage of the debtors who have taken credit may not pay at all. So this is called as a defaulting cost. Then we have certain things, or when you are deciding the credit policy, we have to decide upon how much cash discount you are going to give and what is the credit term will be given. So credit term is the time given to the debtor to make the payment. So this term should be calculated based on the needs of the seller, the cash needs of the seller, then the credit worthiness of the supplier or the credit worthiness of the buyer, and also you have to take, the person has to take into, the seller has to take into account the profit margin. See, if the profit is delayed for a lot of time, the profit will not make sense, because there is a concept called as time value of money. Means if the payment is, receipt of payment is delayed for a long time, then the profit whatever was to be received, it is value will be reduced because it is delayed payment. So you have to decide upon how much credit will be given to the customer. That depends upon the type of product, the profit margin, and the seller's need for cash. So I've given an example of, say, this credit term like 2/10 net 30. This means that the net, a maximum of 30 days is given to the customer to make the payment. But if he makes payment within 10 days, he will be given a discount of 2%. So this is how credit terms are specified, the maximum date of credit, and if you pay within the minimum time, how much benefit will be given for the customer. Then the other term which is used in receivable management is cash discount. So cash discount is the discount given so that the person who has taken the credit for a long time, maybe 30 days or 40 days, he makes early payment. So the seller is tempting them to make early payment and avail the discount. So a cash discount is basically a teaser for them to make early payment, and this current discount is such that it will not eat much of the profits of the seller. Then the credit status of the customer has to be judged. So how do you do that? We have to see whether the customer deserves credit. Now how you say the customer deserves credit? Say in the past he has made prompt payments, that company is a sound company, doing good business, ethical, they are known in the market for their promptness in payment. Then you have to answer the questions like, is it a suitable risk? So is it good that giving a credit to everybody? So you have to decide upon to which customer how much credit is given, for regular customers, for special customers, for customers who are once in a while. So based on that we have to study about who is the customer, how much he can pay, how much is his turnover, what is the business that person is giving us, what is the long standing relationship with them, and what is the profit margin in the credit given. Say for example the profit margin is too less and you are giving an extended credit, that doesn't make sense because you are making a loss. Okay, so this is how we judge the credit status. Then we'll study about what is credit cycle. So credit cycle is nothing but the cycle where you are giving credit to the customer and the cash is received. So this cycle, or this total lag of say time from when you are giving credit to the time you receive the payment, there is a time gap and there are certain steps involved. So first step is the customer is placing order to buy that product or service. Then the second step is the company or the seller is trying to establish a credit status, means he is going to know who is the customer, how much credit he needs, what is his past ratings, what is the type of business, how much profit is done with that order. So this is how you judge the credit status. Next is we have to check the credit limit. So maximum how much credit can be given to that customer will be based again on past performance, the order, the profit range, and so on. Next is the delivery note is issued and then the goods are delivered. So once the goods are delivered, a invoice is raised or a bill is raised and that bill is sent to the customer and the customer receives the invoice. Then next is a statement is sent. So after the goods are delivered, bills are sent, after some days a statement or details of the bill is sent to the customer. Then frequently there are reminder letters, then reminder calls about when the payment has to made or when that payment he will be making. Then after the calls, actual cash is received and maybe the next order is placed. So this is how a credit cycle takes place. Now to know how good the customer is in his credit worthiness, we can use one of the following ways. So we can use trade references. Trade references means we are going to ask other business partners of that customer about his credit worthiness. If that customer is having a business partner, you can clarify with them how promptly that person pays or that company pays. Also you can use bank referrals. Bank referrals means the banker of the customer, he will be a very good reference to tell about what is the turnover of that company, how much business is the bank has been it gives to the bank, what is its current account status, and so on. Other ways of knowing creditworthiness is by credit rating. So there are many institutions which give, say, you can say it is like a certificate or report card of the creditworthiness of the company. So they are given stars, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So based on that you can judge how prompt they are in their payments. Also you can ask credit rating agencies to investigate about the creditworthiness of that customer. Another best example of doing creditworthiness is if that company is not a new company, then you can see the past performance, how promptly they have paid, how much orders have been given. For new customers, trade references, bank references and credit reporting agencies are used. But if it is an old company, then the past experience with that customer will be a best way to know its creditworthiness. Then even you can get a list from government bodies who will tell which is the best supplier. Also, creditworthiness can be known by the accounts published by different companies. That is, accounts means the profit and loss and balance sheet, so that you know how much profit they have made, what assets they have. Last but not the least, but very important source of information is by Salesforce. Now our Salesforce have direct contact with the customers. They know in detail about how they behave, how they make payment, how quickly they put orders and pay payment. So the Salesforce can be a very useful tool to know which customer is trustworthy. So this is all about credit worthiness, receivable management and credit cycle. I hope you have understood this. Please raise queries in the comment section. So that's all for today. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you.